The night would have taken his life because Erec was naked as a woman. Last time we had an introduction to Hartmann von Aue and Erec as a literary product. If you missed this episode, I will link it up here, so be sure to watch it before proceeding to this video. In this episode, we will talk about equipment and foremost about differences in equipment. So after clickbaiting you hard, welcome to the second episode of our series Erec in a HEMA context. So to give you a little recap, Erec, our protagonist, is set on a stroll with the queen and her handmaiden, while King Arthur is out with his men and his boys to do boys things like stag hunting. On his stroll with the queen, they see a knight in the distance, accompanied by a woman and a twerk. The handmaiden is then sent there to ask whoever this person is. The handmaiden goes there and gets twerked by the twerk with a whip. So to proceed in the story, Erec then continues to investigate himself, since he has equal rank to the knight in comparison to the queen's maiden. He rides up to the knight, but wait, he is spanked by the twerk as well. Auch wollte sich gerochen haben, wann das erwieslich in seinem Zorn dem Kunde entwichen. Der Ritter hätte ihm genommen den Lieb, wann Erec was bloß als ein Wieb. So he feels humiliated and wants to avenge, but says he would die because he is as naked as a woman. Aha, remember a stroll through the meadows? Yes, he is wearing his date night outfit, not his armor. However, it is safe to assume for him to bring his sword, marking his status and all such. Erec describes that he has not ever suffered a worse day in his life and rides back to the queen. What we can see here is a great example of what goes against many movie tropes we have today. If you are undergeared, you will lose. In HEMA, we mainly assume in our fencing books that the opponents are equally equipped as they describe dueling situations. So we have techniques for Bloßfechten, where both are wearing no armor. We also have techniques for armored fencing, where both are wearing plate harnesses. Even in Thalhofer's drawings, where one person is pictured unarmored versus an armored opponent, it is safe to assume that this depiction is incorrect. You cannot imagine the horror and the difficulty as an unarmored person to go against a full-plated knight. Even if you are skilled with weapons, a knight in armor is also a professional fighter. If you have less skill, well, Adoria's Knight of Hope really shows how likely you will die. You can see here how he is being hit several times by other people with weapons, but they do not stop him. Even in a 1 versus 1 dueling situation, without armor you will be having a hard time. Just see in Decatem's video, for example, how hard the unarmored fighter needs to work. You can actually try this in sparring. Just put on all the plastic protectors you have and declare them as armor. Put another person without protectors against yourself.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
You will feel much safer with your protection. Enjoy watching the other person's stress level go through the roof. See how he is flinching and twitching, reacting to every move I make. Yes, the anxiety. In addition, he has to look for openings that are tiny in comparison to his whole body being an opening. As you can see, with armor, you can stand in a relaxed way, knowing that most of the hits don't concern you. In comparison, every hit you score at the opponent will be his demise. This little experiment was a blast. I highly recommend doing this. Back to Erec. It is understandable that due to undergearing, he has to let go of the fight and lose his honor. Differences in equipment and skill can also be seen in other scenes. For example, Erec and Enid are on adventure through the woods and they are stopped by 3 robbers along the way. The robbers chat for a while. Then the first robber charges. Den Schild dort zu Halse nahm, als ihm Erec nachenkam. Das Ross nahm mit dem Sporn. Sprach, Herre, ihr habet verloren, beide lieb und gut. Erec, durch seinen grimmen Mut, ihm daheim antworten bot und stach ihn von dem Rosse tot. Sein Geselle in Wolde gerochen han. Dem ward allsam getan, ihn waren Bein und Arme bloß, des Erec an dem Siege genoss. Sie waren gewaffnet slechte, nach robere Aare rechte. Das was Erec gut, ihr jeglich hätte in den Isenhut seinen Panziere. Das hätte sich schiere zur andere geleitet. Let's focus on the description of the equipment. First and foremost, at least one of the robbers is wearing a shield. What kind is not said. Let's assume boar. It could be a rather large shield, like a kite shield, or a smaller, like a heater shield. It could be also something entirely different built by the robbers due to financial difficulties. Next, it is mentioned that they have bare arms and legs. The only protection mentioned are an Isenhut. The so-called kettle helmet had gained popularity in the late 12th century, so a prototypical kind of kettle helmet, and was mainly worn by foot soldiers like archers. They also wear Panzer, which was a pain to look into. A Panzer was back then also what it is today, so a kind of metal protection. The easiest pick here is a basic ring armor kind of shirt, although most likely of very cheap quality, possibly with several rings broken. Panzer could also be some kind of scale armor. Scale armor was still popular in the 12th century since it was a lot cheaper than ring armor, which had to be woven in thousands of hours of work. Scale armor could also be expertly done for a lot of money, but for a robber kind of level, you could use scrap metal of all sorts and put it in some kind of fabric and voila, basic protection covering your breast and lower abdomen. This also accords to the arms and legs being bare. Erec, on the other hand, will most likely be in full clad, perfectly woven ring armor. Even legs and arms are fully protected. He would also have a high-quality helmet, possibly with a visor. A good shield, a lance, and a sword would be his weapons, but more on that in a later video. We take away from this scene that, as stated, the robbers were in robbers' fashion poorly equipped, whereas Erec has a state-of-the-art, high-quality, latest technology outfit and equipment. So no wonder Erec just wastes them. To sum up this video, gear does make a change in how safely you can approach an enemy. Well, duh. Well, of course, skill still plays a high role when confronting an enemy, but equipment is clearly setting the stage in the beginning. We can see in our tale of Erec that he is not the ultra-strong superhero that slashes through everything around him like butter. He is clearly cautious in making smart choices whether he can win a fight or not. In our next episode, we will take a look at Erec's equipment, which has 3 stages, and it feels kind of like he's playing an RPG of some sort. So stay tuned and thanks for watching.